If you got questions, let me know because I'm here. This month. We've had all the months. Hello, everybody. I was just chit-chatting with folks from TikTok. Excuse me. But my question for you, which I posed earlier, and we're kind of coming back around to this, but my question to you is, are you having difficulty healing today because of things that happened back in the day? Right? Is it impacting your medical world? Are you dealing with chronic abuse, chronic pain? Are you dealing with diabetes, high blood pressure? Are you dealing with chronic mental health concerns? If you are, there is a chance that you have, unfortunately, had something from your past that's just kind of weighing you down and holding you back. Right now, we're talking about intimate partner violence. So if you've been in a relationship where there was domestic abuse or domestic violence, right? Male against male, female against female, male against female, female against male. We don't talk about that one as much, but yes, it's there. It happens. If you're having those issues from your past affect you today, it's like a weight that's weighing you down. And as I was saying earlier, it's like you're in an MMA fight or a boxing match and someone just tied your hand behind. So you're already dealing with the trauma or remembering the trauma about the abuse that you survived. Thank God you survived, because some people didn't. So you're already dealing with that. Then you're now dealing with chronic pain, chronic nerve pain, chronic GI pain, right? Remember, the mind may forget, but the body remembers. The body keeps score. And this is a way that the body keeps score on these past episodes of violence and abuse. How we're dealing with that now. How do you deal with that now? How do you unpull that hand from behind the back? Something very simple. This is the CTA, or the call to action. When people are sharing information and they say, I want you to go do this or go do that. It's a CTA, it's a call to action. Here's your call to action, friends. This is what I want you to do. Go online, look up ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACE. There's got to be a PDF out there somewhere that you can look at. Sometimes there'll be fillable ones. Go through and fill it out. Don't make a lot of promises up here because I don't want y'all coming at me. I'm just trying to support. I ain't trying to get y'all to come at me the wrong way. But I can promise you that whatever you're dealing with right now, whatever you're going through right now, if you're feeling like, gosh, I got that hand tied behind the back and I am trying to fight the good fight, but it seems like 2 steps forward, 5 steps backward. I just can't seem to get better. I can't seem to figure this out. Like whatever's going on is just not working for me. I can promise you that if you go download the ACEs and you see that there are positives on that ACE, that will at least give you some ammunition, that will at least help you figure out and understand why your hand is still tied behind your back. Okay, it's tied behind your back because you've got those issues. Domestic violence, that is one of the ACEs. I did not share that in the last talk that we did from TikTok, but if you witnessed or experienced intimate partner violence as when you were growing up as a child, it's average childhood experiences. So the way that it will be phrased up there is, did you witness, right? Were you exposed to the domestic violence? So if your parents, if you heard it, saw it, witnessed it, that gives you a point from the ACE. If you've got 2 points or more, you are at increased risk of whatever it is that you're probably dealing with right now. Again, not an excuse, but at least a why. And we creatures, one of the number one questions that you hear your children ask when they're little itty bitties. Why? Tell me why. And as adults, we still have that curiosity, which is why we continue to press the envelope and ask questions. Why doesn't this work the way that I want it to work? How can I make this work a little bit better? That's what we're constantly doing in our societies, right? We're starting to grow and change. So that hidden or not so hidden wound from that domestic violence event, if it happened while you were a child, that is one point that unfortunately does that put you at increased risk of all of these chronic issues. And that might explain why you're having some of these chronic issues, at least from that perspective. Relates back to something called epigenetics, which is where your genes, which are your genes, like it's not like I can necessarily change your genes, but then again, I can. Why? Epigenetics basically says that things like environment can change the way your genes are expressed, because the gene is the code, right? It's like the computer code that will type out the message for how certain proteins get expressed in your body, how hormones get expressed in your body. So your DNA may be your DNA, which isn't really changed, but the way the DNA is expressed does change. Again, that's epigenetics. So if you dealt with a lot of trauma or abuse as a child, the way that I would have hoped that your DNA would express hormones would be a nice low cortisol level. It would be, dopamine when dopamine should have been released, right? Gabapentin when gabapentin should have been released. Unfortunately, the transcript of your DNA that gets transcribed out when you're dealing with abuse, it changes the way hormones are expressed. Okay. I went to school at Mayo Clinic with a young man in residency, Gen Shinozaki. And that is one of the things that we both did for our grand rounds. I was looking at actual patients that were dealing with abuse and ways to prevent parent-child prevention of child abuse. We were looking at ways that parents could come in for trainings so that they could learn about ways that they could make sure that they weren't inadvertently abusing a child, right? By sending mixed messages, by neglect, the emotional abuse, all of those things. And he was on the other end of it. He was actually looking at the DNA and the genetic code, and he was looking at markers. So when I looked at both of the research we were doing together, I was just like, oh, wow, this is kind of mind blowing, because he's seeing the microscopic level of what I'm seeing on the macroscopic or the gross or the big level. Okay. But this is how it all pulls together. And again, your homework is to go and look this up. If you are still in a domestic violence situation, you have two homeworks. Number one, go online, download an ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences Inventory, and look to see what you experienced as a child, because that does sometimes predispose you to being in risky relationships, including relationships that will set you up for continued abuse, like a domestic violence relationship. That's one of the risks. Here's the other thing I want you to do if you are in that difficulty right now. I need you to find somebody to help you get out. That's your number one, really, is to find somebody to help you get out. And there are ways, my dears, there are ways. I've done it. I've helped people do it. It is not my area of expertise and my forte, okay? But people have done it, and I've helped people do it, okay? It can be done, right? There are ways to prepare, and there are ways to do it safely. But the number one priority is to get out of that relationship, because you don't want it to end up in a place where it becomes a fatality. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants anybody unalived. Okay. So there are ways. If you need to reach out to us, you can do so by phone at 507-533-5433. That's 507-LED-LIFE. That's one way to reach out to us. Of course, you can go to our website, ledlifellc.com, and reach out to us that way. The other thing that I'm going to say to you, there are so many resources now that are public, where you can reach out to someone to basically say, I want to get out. I need to get out and I need help. Okay. I don't want to share too many of the ways, because just like people who are in trouble are watching, there are always somebody that's nefarious, that's doing the dirt, that's watching too, that's like, so that's how they're going to try. No, not giving you that. I'm just saying, to the people that are in need, there are ways, and there are a lot of public sites that you can go to right now so that you can get out. There are a lot of public sites that you can go to right now so that you can get out. right? Get connected to a trusted person that can help you walk through the process of getting out of that relationship. Okay. So that you and the other person can be safe. All right. Always here if you need us. I am Dr. Regina, and I hope that you have a very blessed day on purpose. Because TikTok joined first, I'm going to say bye-bye. And for my folks over here on all the other platforms, YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, you all have a very blessed day on purpose. Take care.